Let me restart my recording. That would be.
You have enough hard drive space?
That would be more helpful.
Anya, hush.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Lay
here.
down.
You know what? It might Shelly just walked in the door and she's carrying groceries, so it might actually be worth it to just hold off 1 second here.
Oh, because something funny might happen.
This is Epic Battle Cry Skirmish 217! No one forgets James Fu!
Hello and welcome to Epic Battle Cry. This is the place where we cut through the crap to bring you the real deal in the gaming industry today.
Returns.
I am your host, Tony Grice, and with me is Brent Adams, Daniel Kaiser, and Joel McHale.
Hey!
Joel, how you doing this week?
What?
All right, that's about the same kind of response we got from DK. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well, TG in 3D. Here we are, almost the holiday season. I am getting ready to, put my Santa outfit on and scare the living crap out of my kids as I do every year, and just. Most people think of it as a joyous thing, but I actually just chase them around the house and demand that they give me gifts for everything I've done for them all year. I don't know how this will pan out when they get a little older, but for right now it's fun. So we'll see what happens.
If I was going to take a wild guess at what the effects on your children might be of what appears to be a fat-looking stranger chasing them around their own home screaming, "Give me your toys! Give me your toys!"
That's pretty much how it goes. And cookies.
I would say it's probably going to be more harmful than you might imagine.
I don't know. I think our kids are too wussified these days.
Yeah, I'm trying to toughen them up. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Psychological scarring is definitely the way to go.
So that one day they could host the VGX.
Layers. All right, Brent.
What's up, my telltalers of triumph?
Yes.
My walking sticks of wrath! How art thou?
I like that. That was clever.
Thank
Walking
you.
Sticks of Wrath.
That was one of my favorite tweets of the evening. Was that particular bit of business?
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yes.
Yeah, that was one of the more interesting moments. You know what? Somebody hand me a walking stick.
Because I can put it to good use right now.
Oh man, you don't want
months
to. I
over.
do not want to see, as scary as the thought of you running around terrorizing your kids in a Santa costume.
Yeah.
The idea of Regia Fils-Aimé losing his shit in any way, shape, or form.
Reggie Fils-Aimé is a big guy. He's a big dude. He's a big dude.
I mean, honestly, he's one of those guys that if he kind of lost his mind, maybe the city of San Diego goes into the sea.
Maybe.
I literally just watched the new trailer for Godzilla, and I think he might have been Godzilla in the trailer.
His body is ready.
All right, guys. Well, we have plenty of stuff to go through this week, so let's go ahead and run through the gauntlet. All right, guys, we're here in the gauntlet, and the first story we'll talk a little bit about this week is the fact that next week, or just a few days from the time you'll be listening to this at this point, you may be able to play The Walking Dead Season 2. DK, what platforms are we going to be looking forward on?
Well, the first episode of Season 2, All That Remains, The Walking Dead, in which we will have the opportunity to take control of the fan favorite Clementine, is going to be coming to Steam, we learned, on December 17th. And then a day later, via the Xbox, you'll be able to access it on Xbox Live. We don't know right now about the PlayStation version, but we're assuming that it'll be coming out right after that, because typically the PlayStation Store gets updated on Tuesday. So the following Tuesday is when we might see it. It'll be $4.99 for episode 1, although you can also pick up the season pass for an additional $15 and kind of just get all of what Telltale is cooking up there, which they're cooking up a lot these days. We'll get to it in a little bit.
You're not kidding that.
But with The Walking Dead,
play it on PC the day before that, right?
That's right. December 17th on Steam.
December 17th on Steam.
Following day on Xbox Live.
Right, exactly. So,
and we don't know yet about PSN, but chances are it will be either December 17th or December the 24th. One of those two, we think.
One of those two. But anyway, you guys excited? Are you looking forward to diving in? And is this a day one pickup? Brent, I know you in particular really like this series. Or are you going to be playing this next week?
Absolutely, I am. I've already bought it on Steam. So it's just going to basically be an unlock for me on Tuesday. And I'm really anxious to check it out. I loved the first Walking Dead. It was my game of the year. It's a really, really fantastic title, and I'm very, very anxious to see where the story goes, but I'm also really interested in the idea of you, the player, now controlling Clementine, where you were her protector within the player character of Lee in the first game.
Correct.
Now you yourself are controlling Clementine, and that is certainly going to change the nature of gameplay and how you approach things. But as emotional a response as she engenders in the first game, and as strongly as I personally felt about protecting her and how all of that kind of tied into the emotion and drama elicited by the first game, it's going to be a very interesting and different experience to now be controlling her. So I'm very anxious to see how that goes, and I'm also really anxious to see what else has evolved in the gameplay. If The Wolf Among Us is any indication, I think that The Walking Dead Season 2 is really, really going to be something special.
Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to finish the first season, but I'm hoping Lee will be playable at some point in the second one too.
Probably not.
I've started it, and I'm really looking forward to see how things turn out.
Yeah,
but, I'm glad at least you start with Clementine, because that is kind of an interesting way. But I hope they, I hope he's okay too. All right, so next up we finally have a firm release date for Destiny.
Well,
the first release date.
Everything's relative.
Well, it's a year off at this point, basically. So, I mean, we might actually be seeing this release date come true. Brent, when can we maybe cross our fingers, hopefully be able to play Destiny?
In a cringe-inducing announcement last week, Bungie let us know that Destiny is now on track to come out September 9th, 2014, with a public beta kicking off during the summer of 2014, which, of course, as we knew, will be available first on the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4.
Why is it cringe-inducing?
Because we know, anytime they announce something this far out, they never make it. They never make it. If they had given us this release date in July, I'd feel confident. I'd feel like, okay, they've had the summer, they've got their public beta under their belts. They must be feeling confident to announce this date. To announce the release date before they even do the public beta, to me, speaks nothing of portending disaster.
Well, and then, I kind of, first and foremost, I'm excited.
I am too. I think Destiny looks cool. Don't misunderstand that.
Sure,
what I'm saying.
Sure. Right. I get it now that you explained it. But the game I think looks good. The new trailer from the VGX I think looked really good. I'm just really excited to play this game. Eventually, the world premiere, the fourth one. But I am puzzled by why a specific date needs to be announced right now. Why can't it just be September, so that they leave those options open? Because it's no one's going to care if you just say fall 2014 now, okay, and then the window shrinks, and when you get into June or July of next year, you say coming September. And then when it's August, you say September 9th, if you really know it, because it could be September 20th.
I agree.
Let me ask you, though, because
Let me ask you, what do you think about pie?
When talking about Bungie in general, haven't they been pretty good over the years about actually hitting their release dates?
Yeah.
I don't know. They're not one of those Bungie game I've ever even thought about buying. So that's a great question.
Admittedly, I agree. That's why I was kind of asking, because I haven't really been a huge Halo fan, but I mean I do think I don't ever remember the Halo games that they produced, or even the one that was it 343 produced, being not hitting their date.
Yeah.
Plus, we're talking about their beta starting early in the year. I mean, it's starting, so I mean, I don't know. I don't think this is such a bad.
I don't think
this is coming out at the end of summer. So
all of the Halo games were so big that they couldn't afford to miss the date. So they had to softball the release date and basically put it into a realm where it's when is the game going to be finished? Okay, it's going to be finished in May. Great, let's make the release date September just in case. So that's kind of the scenario, and I get the sense the same thing with this. They're gonna beta test it, have it ready in the summer, and make some last tweaks over June, July, and August, and then get the thing out and everybody and the world will change, and it will be our destiny to fall in love with Bungie's latest game. And I'm gonna wear a cape and shoot people.
Basically, like, that's the game in a nutshell. Destiny, wear a cape, shoot people. Pre-order at GameStop now. Okay, so I get all of what you're saying, but in general, this all just goes back to this whole thing where I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand how saying September 9th, today, here in December 2013, I don't understand how saying September 9th, 2014 gets you anything today, as opposed to just saying it's going to be fall next year, and then as you get closer, narrow it, like DK saying, narrow it down a little bit more. I don't understand how anything is better for you by saying a release date right now.
I think there are benefits to setting a firm date.
That most of the time, nobody ever hits their release dates.
Nobody else. That was my whole point.
Right.
Like if they were kind of the kind of company that was in the same realm as everybody else in terms of doing that,
yeah.
I would agree with you. But I actually think maybe that's the way that they are able to hit those dates, is they set it a fucking year out and they say, look, it's gonna be out.
The game
on this
is
day.
done. I have it.
And let's be honest.
How's your cape?
Let's be honest. It's in the day and age we're in now. It's not going to be fucking. I mean, they're going to be patching it every single day that the game is out from here forward.
We just had like a really awesome long conversation about a release date. We could talk till September 9th about this.
Yeah, but in fairness, this could be any fucking game, and we could have this conversation.
Yeah, but for this game,
let's talk about another game that has a release date as well. Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh no!
Ground Zeroes is getting a release date. It's only 3 months away. Do you think it's going to make its release date? I actually have more questions whether it'll hit it than whether Destiny will hit its.
Yes.
Well, let me jump in with the actual like details of this story here, because we got the PlayStation exclusive content we knew about before, and now we have Xbox exclusive content which we knew was coming, but we actually get the details of which this past week. I guess it's called James Vu as opposed to the Deja Vu.
James Vu is Deja Vu's addicted younger brother who can't quite get his life together.
Yeah.
He's like, you do bad shit all the time, but people just forget about it. They always remember with me.
Does it mean anything?
No,
Do you know if it even means anything?
He's the brother that always borrows money, never pays it back.
And I'm pretty sure that's Raiden. Who's actually in the content. So this content does, feature Raiden, and it'll be exclusive to the Xbox 360 and Xbox One. So anyway, we know, as you were saying, TG, that this is now going to come out March 18th, 2014. Again, this is the prelude to Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. It'll cost you $30 on Xbox One and PS4, or if you get it on the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3, then it's $20. So
you pay an extra $10 for the shiny.
Yes, you do, for all those weather effects. They cost money to make. So pay me now.
They sure as fuck do.
Yeah. So anyway, what do you guys think? Like, Tony, you said you're worried about this one slipping from its date?
Well, I'm just saying, like, to me, this is a game that we've known about no longer than we've known about Destiny, and it's got a much closer release date window. I'm saying, like, I would be more, if I had to bet on them, I'd say this one would maybe slip a little bit from its release date than Destiny might. But I don't necessarily think that it's going to. I do think it's kind of interesting, talking about the Jemavu or James Vu, however you pronounce it. It's so I was reading online.
James
apparently,
Vu. He's the guy nobody trusts, but he's the man that's gonna get the job done.
It's apparently like sort of the opposite of deja vu, which is where you sort of sense that you've seen something before and it feels familiar, whereas this is you sense that you've seen it before but it's unfamiliar. So, like, I do think if you watch, like, the trailer, showing the footage, I think the question has to be asked, like, why did the Xbox family of stuff get the cooler bonus material? Because, I mean, really, I think this looks, even though it's Raiden, which is crazy.
Microsoft paid Kojima a lot of money?
I think so, man, because, I mean, you look at I hate to say it, like, I think the whole... The original Snake looking like fucking original Snake is just the worst idea.
That's a middle finger. That's just a gigantic middle finger, from Kojima to the fans. He's like, fuck you all. I hate you. I hate Solid Snake. I hate the game that you love. I hope you all fucking die.
No, I'm pretty sure making people pay for the demo is the bigger middle finger.
Well, there is an argument to be. There's an argument to be made there, but honestly, that's probably the part of the story that I'm most happy about, is the fact that that the price is what it is. I think that $30 is reasonable. I think 20 would be a good price, but I think 30 is tenable. But going back to just sort of like the whole release date thing that we were talking about, I kind of think, I don't know, like to me saying that this is we're getting a release date closer to the actual release of the game, therefore it's gonna it's not going to come out. I don't know. That seems just sort of contrarian to me, but my perspective is that there is probably a greater likelihood that they're going to hit this because they've gone longer in their development before they actually announce the release date. So personally, I have more confidence.
Well, yeah. Let's just hope that it's a solid release date.
I'm not even going to say anything.
All right, so moving on, last but not least, if you are playing World of Warcraft or Xbox Live, or let's be honest, doing fucking anything these days,
that's right.
The NSA is spying on you.
Do you live
Brent,
somewhere on planet Earth? United States government spying on you.
I dare say that it's not even limited to Earth. The aliens on Mars are they're fucking.
That's right. The NSA got a camera jammed right up their asses.
Brent, what can you tell us about this story?
Well, basically that the NSA is watching you. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, what you're doing. The NSA is probably watching you. So what we've found out, and this comes from the famous or infamous, depending on your perspective, former government contractor Edward Snowden.
This is information that the world needs to know.
In some documents disclosed by Snowden. It details spying efforts by the NSA and I believe the CIA as well
and British government too, wasn't it?
That's correct. The GCHQ in Britain and the NSA in the United States. Excuse me, they do not mention the CIA. So anyway, the NSA and the GCHQ apparently have agents who have been basically spying on people in virtual online games and spaces, things like World of Warcraft, Second Life, and Xbox Live. And the stated reason for doing this is that these are private communications networks that, in theory, terrorists could use to get together and to discuss terrorist plots without raising suspicion. So, they're monitoring this. Now, it is notable that to date there's been no disclosed information that any terrorist plot has ever been foiled as a result of this kind of monitoring, and they don't say whether or not there's any terrorist plot that we know of that has actually been planned by people using World of Warcraft or Second Life or whatever. So on the surface, with the information we have right now, this seems to be more of a speculative kind of operation on the part of these intelligence agencies. They said, well, we don't know that anybody's doing this, but we think that they might, and therefore we're going to be watching. Also, I think the other thing to say is that both Microsoft and Blizzard have said that if this has happened, it has happened without their consent. Right. And Second Life has made they haven't released any statement on it whatsoever.
I think one of the biggest shocks here is that people are still playing Second Life. But, after that, this is the day and age we live in. And it's like, it sucks. It sucks for everyone. And my personal opinion on this type of stuff, as somebody who goes to an airport like almost every week and has to like take my damn shoes off and go through the freaking security thing, get randomly stopped every once in a while. This is the day and age we live in, because we're not. I mean, this is the terrorism and how things are organized, and it sucks for everybody. What the NSA and what I think people that are monitoring these situations that you touched on there, Brent, I think what they need to do a better job of, though, is hanging people's head on a stick on the gate outside. Meaning, if they do have something, we hear very little updates from people about like what was thwarted or what happened. It would just take one instance of a news story coming out saying, hey, today at LAX we stopped this guy because he was trying to get on with a bomb and we stopped him. You know what? I'm good for like 2 years of taking my damn shoes off and being inconvenienced and going through and taking all my clothes off, because I know that me doing that stopped that one guy. So they need to do that more often, and if they did have a plan or they do have something, I think being outward about it and not so secretive about everything, and just saying, hey, we are watching you, and we're going to make an example out of you if you are doing this type of thing, would make it more worthwhile. But I think what happens is the phobia is always are increased because we don't hear that. We just know that we're being spied on.
I have mixed feelings about it. One, I really don't think that they get, for all of the kind of freedom that we give up to find these things, I really don't think that what they do find out from them is, I mean, there are going to be horrible incidents that happen in this world by terrible people.
Yep.
And I don't think that giving up all the freedoms that we give up to like supposedly prevent some of these things from happening, I don't think it is balanced. I really don't. But having said that, something like this story, I do think that it would be sort of a little pointless if they're going to do it anyway. It would be sort of pointless to point out that, hey, we did find a bunch of people by tracking World of Warcraft, because then what are they going to do? Not do it on World of Warcraft any longer. So in a way, if they did get anything out of this, which I would be remiss in saying that I'm sure that they haven't gotten some kind of intel from it.
Yeah.
I do really doubt as to what
They
what
definitely have got
quality.
some intel on what the freaks in Second Life get up to.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But I do think that the whole point of it is, if they have gotten anything out of it, let's say that they've stopped 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things from it. Well, then it's probably good that they haven't said anything about it, because then they continue to use it and people continue to get caught. The whole problem is, I really don't think that this should be an issue that should be happening in the first place, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult to have this conversation without it just, not going overtly political. But the analogy that I think that I would use here, it seems to me that, basically what the NSA is doing, they're just kind of casting a net and saying, well, we're sure that if we cast a wide enough net and drag it long enough, we're going to get something. And that's basically the equivalent of like the LAPD rolling up a SWAT van and a bunch of squad cars into a minority neighborhood in Los Angeles and saying, we're sure that if we rifle through every house in this neighborhood, we're going to find something illegal. And that is not how law enforcement in the United States is designed to work by law. And I do have a problem with it on that level.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, that example, though, is just called Tuesday.
All right, guys. Well, we are in the main topic this week, and of course, if you were anywhere this weekend, you might have possibly seen the VGXs that was online, and it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
DK, you want to kind of take us down through the list of all the big announcements, the world premiere trailers for Destiny, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the VGXs this weekend?
Yeah, obviously VGX, the inaugural edition of this show, they were different than the VGAs, more gamer focused, longer show, online only. We'll talk a little bit about the show itself later on, but the headlines, that's what everybody tunes in for, to see different things and to get some announcements. So let's go through those and get everybody's opinion. Obviously, the show opened with, Tales from the Borderlands, that's going to be bringing new characters to the franchise and a whole bunch of new content in 2014, this partnership between Gearbox and Telltale, obviously. So that's a good place to start. Brent, I know you're a big Borderlands fan. What did you think of the announcement? Were you surprised? And are you looking forward to this content, especially coming off the story in The Gauntlet about The Walking Dead and having an affinity for those types of games?
It's really interesting because the announcement, and Tony was sitting right next to me, so he can attest to this, but the announcement for Tales from the Borderlands elicited the strangest reaction from me, because we were sitting there seeing what looks like graphics from Borderlands. We're hearing that great music from the Borderlands games, and over on the screen I'm seeing the Telltale Games logo, and I felt the physical sensation of dissonance. My brain could not process, it could not understand the information that it was being presented because it just did not make any sense. And it felt exactly like drinking a liter of LSD. It was fucking great. So
does that mean you like it or no? I can't tell.
Yes, I'm so down with this. I'm so fucking down with this because I love Borderlands. I've got like 90 hours or something in Borderlands 2. I absolutely love that game. I love Telltale Games, as we've talked about. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us. So the idea of a partnership between these two companies to work on a game that further explores Pandora, that further expounds on some of the characters and the great humor and all of the possibilities for gameplay that exists in that world, but using the Telltale kind of approach to gaming, the choice and consequence, All of that stuff I think is really, really fantastic. I think that this game has enormous potential to be fun, to be funny, and to really, really be a landmark title in both the story of the Borderlands franchise as well as Telltale Games. I really am down for this.
TG, I want to ask you the same thing about Borderlands, but also segueing into the other big announcement about Game of Thrones, because that's obviously a broader appeal to the IP. I mean, there's a lot of people passionate about Borderlands like Brent is, but there's a lot more people passionate about Game of Thrones. What did you think of both of those being announced on the same night?
Yeah, I mean, I did definitely think that it was I don't know, I guess a coup for Telltale. I mean, they definitely had two huge IPs that I think, to be brutally honest, I'm not sure most people sort of saw coming. I mean, there probably were, a few people that had an idea, but especially the Borderlands one, I think is a great idea. I'm not necessarily the hugest fan of the style of like the Walking Dead Telltale games and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I love the way they look, and I do think that'll play in well with like the Borderlands. And plus, I just like the Borderlands world so much that I will probably be picking that one up. Admittedly, not necessarily super familiar with Game of Thrones. I've only watched a couple of episodes.
Everybody
before,
does. It's
but,
okay.
But I will say that I do think it was a good announcement for them. I mean, I think Telltale has definitely cut themselves out this niche. I am a little worried that they might not be pigeonholing themselves to, kind of creating sort of a template that they're sort of applying to lots of different IPs or whatnot, but so right now it works, so I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Lauren made that exact same point
about Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Well, about Telltale, just sort of saying like, I worry that this could, they could just end up resting on their laurels and just cranking these things out, and ultimately it just kind of turning to mush.
I heard they're doing a Dancing with the Stars game next year as well.
Well, that happened faster than I expected.
What about some of the other announcements, DK? What were some of the other things?
Well, I think one of the cool things was Reggie Fils-Aimé, president of Nintendo of America, was on hand at the VGX, took the stage with Jeff and whoever that other guy was.
To announce that brand new, never before seen IP that Nintendo's working on.
World premiere.
No, but to talk about getting your cranky on in Donkey Kong and the release date, I think was the big thing that is coming in February. What do you guys? I mean, everyone
I noticed
wants
that they didn't announce a Metroid game.
They didn't announce a Metroid game.
Even though somebody really wanted them to.
Yes, he had a pin on. Everyone's waiting to hear about Zelda. Had I been there, I would have asked some different questions. But the bottom line is that we know we're getting Donkey Kong, and it's got the ability to play as this character who's been in that series for a while. What do you guys think about Donkey Kong? Is this going to be a big game for them, or just kind of something that comes out in February and will do well enough, or is it a system seller?
From the
You're
outsiders,
a fan of DuckTales the game. I mean,
if you love DuckTales, you'll love this game. As an outsider, I can't really say like how this is necessarily going to impact Nintendo's audience, but I will say that it does look really good. I mean, it's a good looking game, and it looks like it would be very, very fun. So I can only imagine that people are really going to go for this, and certainly the Donkey Kong Country series has got plenty of fan recognition and nostalgia value. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a fucking Mario game,
right?
But I think it's going to be a pretty big hit for them.
TG, you like Nintendo games a lot. Is this something on your radar?
Oh, I do, and I love this game. I loved the.
You played this, didn't you? You got a chance to play this, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to play the demo. Best Buy had like a thing where you could play. You got to play New Super Mario World 3D and Wind Waker, but you also got to play Mario Kart 7 and Tropical Freeze, which I will say the game is just the most gorgeous thing. The one thing I actually think about some of Nintendo's games that do never come across in videos is they almost all run at 60 frames per second. And when you have these really cool stylized worlds and beautiful bright colors, when you see that like in person, it just makes a huge difference. When you see it online, like through streaming video, I hate to say it just doesn't quite come across the same way. But anyway, I think this will be a great game. I think it's an awesome, additional title to the Wii U lineup. I do think the Wii U lineup is slowly but somewhat steadily building up a pretty solid library of at least Nintendo titles. Yep. I do think though that this was, and I as much as I kind of don't necessarily like the way sometimes these interviews go, I did think that it was a bit like with some of the bigger announcements that we were seeing to kind of announce a character that is going to be along with like 7 other, I think, characters that you can play as in the game, It did feel a little weak. I really legitimately was expecting a little something else,
Sure.
even if it was a teaser, even if it was just like to be honest with you, I really did think when Jeff kind of pointed out the Metroid button on Reggie's collar, I was like, oh shit, that's at least a little wink and a nod to retro. We're talking to the guys that made the last Metroid Prime games. I've got a Metroid button on. Yeah, you might want to,
Sure.
maybe E3 we might show you something. Even if it was something like that. But it was really like, no, I don't, no, they're not working. I mean, it was almost like so definitive that, no, we're not really working on anything, that it almost was a bit of a downer. So, I don't know.
No, I agree. But Nintendo, I think, though, like you said, though, has really, they really just make great games when they've released the game, the Zelda game on a 3DS, the latest Mario game. I mean, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're saying, to what they're doing in 2014. And I will say that they've really come far in terms of being on hardcore gamers' radar with like, just having good games. And it all comes down to the games.
The Wii U is definitely an example of that, or the Wii U is becoming that. But I actually think the 3DS is a platform that I think a lot of, if you are only a home console gamer and you are, you'd never get portable systems because you just don't for whatever reason. There are a lot of really, really great games on the 3DS. I actually would, between it and say a Vita right now, I actually, think that you'd be well served to pick one up if you find it, a good deal at this holiday season.
Let me ask a question here because, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, Camilla Luddington kept her clothes on long enough to make an announcement about Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, which is basically the next-gen Xbox One, PlayStation 4 version of, the Game of the Year candidate, Tomb Raider, with all the bonus DLC and some extra artwork and stuff like this. What do you guys think about Tomb Raider Definitive Edition?
As I said on Twitter, I play Tomb Raider on PC, so I already have Tomb Raider Definitive Edition.
Yeah, that's true. But what if there are, I get that, but there's a lot of gamers out there who don't have a high-end PC rig, who voted with their wallets for either the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. Maybe they missed out on Tomb Raider.
I don't know. I think it's a tough sell. Considering the game is a year old at this point, and considering that we've got true next gen titles that are out and coming out. I don't know. I think it's a bit of a tough sell to get people excited about a prettier, graphically prettier version of a year-old game. And that's not a slam to Tomb Raider. I think Tomb Raider's a fantastic game. It's in my top. It's probably going to be in my top 5 for games of the year. I really, really liked it, but I got to say that I don't know how much people are going to get into this.
As much as
Plus,
they talked,
it's only an upgrade for people that had the previous console version. So is it going to be enough of a, so either you didn't get it before, or you got it on PC, or you didn't get it at all, and so that's the audience that this is kind of aiming for. It's like if you haven't picked it up at any point.
Interested.
Exactly.
Right.
So I kind of agree with that to a certain degree. Although I do think it looks good.
It looks really good. I'm a little disappointed that they, as much as they talked about hair physics and they didn't consult with me, I'm a little let down.
I noticed they consulted. They still left all the violence and
they did.
Tony actually commented. We were watching the trailer, and Tony goes, "Wherever DK is, he's loving this."
No, like I said, I actually ended up really liking the game, and I mean, despite the violence, I hope they tone it down.
It's a really violent game, Daniel. I don't think you should probably. I think that's
sure. Well, one game that is not violent. In fact, you go through the entire game without killing anyone. I don't know if you guys had a chance to personally check out the pre-show I shot with IDOS Montreal about Thief, but we did detail in that show. And then later on, of course, too, the Thief companion app. What do you guys think about Thief? And then the fact that they're releasing this app that kind of, next month will get you into the game a little early with its backstory and characters. And then as they get closer to launch, they'll have a full version of it that is actually like a game guide and additional artwork and everything else. What do you guys think of the whole project thus far?
Okay, so Thief in general, in the broad strokes, I'm into Thief. I like the idea. You and I have talked about, we're both kind of interested in this game. So in the broad strokes, I'm interested in Thief. Specifically to the trailer that they showed off during the VGX show, I gotta say, it worried me just a little bit. I found the dialogue to be really trite and really kind of cliche and just bumbling. I was like, oh, it doesn't sound all that great at all. And so that, I don't know, that's got me just a little bit concerned about just the quality of the writing in the game. As far as the companion app goes, I'm very, very much into the idea of companion apps for games, provided that they can bring something cool to the experience. As far as the Thief companion app goes, I don't know. I'm still a little bit on the fence about it. I do think it's kind of interesting, and I suppose that this is going to be something that this is going to be an interesting kind of facet of next-gen gaming. The price point for the app is normally $2.99 on iOS and Android, but it's one of those things that you can get free if you pre-order the game. So I kind of find the price point for these tie-in apps are, and I should also say, there's a free version of the app that has limited functionality. It can do things like you can get news updates and stuff like that on the game. But if you really want to have the true companion experience, you either have to pay for the app or you have to pre-order the game where you get the app free.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be an interesting facet of next-gen gaming is the kind of finding like the price point for mobile apps, the functionality to sort of justify the price point, and then of course the value adds of giving you things like that with a pre-order or some other bundle.
What do you think, TG? I want to chime in real fast with my thoughts too, but what do you think?
No, just I really kind of mirror what Brent said. I honestly, I hate to say, the trailer did not really speak to me much. It was way too cinematic. Like, I would have liked to have just seen a little more of, even if it was cinematic, but just what the game would play like as opposed to the story, which, just no offense, I hate to say it, rarely that kind of game. I like the gameplay part of it. I like the, how you can get through the missions rather than what just seemed a little, I don't know.
Well, that was a story trailer specifically. I mean, to get people up to speed on a couple of the new characters that they were kind of introducing in it. But my visit there taught me something about this game, and that is, it's going to require something of you, and it's going to require that you invest in getting the gameplay to where you want it to be. Because initially when I sat down and started checking it out, there's like the idea that you could have the thief vision or whatever it is, and you can kind of see things on the wall that are able to be interacted with. And the more I started thinking about the game and talking with Stefan Waugh and the entire team at Eidos Montreal, the more I really realized that this game is completely about immersion. And so when I look forward to playing this, I'm really looking forward to actually turning all the assists off and putting myself into an old school thing, which I traditionally don't do that much because I don't like for things to be I don't want to feel like I'm missing something. But again, this game is very much about becoming Garrett and going through and actually investing yourselves into the world. And I feel like it's one of those illusions of game design and just entertainment, interactive entertainment, that has the capability to be really profound and interesting, but also potentially hazardous if you don't have a proper experience with it, or if you get taken out of the experience through things like AI and whatnot. So anyway, it's still very high up on my most anticipated list, but we'll have to see how it pans out in the last couple months of development, because it's coming pretty soon. So I'm excited to see how it ends up. But anyway, one of the big surprises of VGX, I think it took everybody by surprise, was the fact that Hello Games, Sean Murray, who's a really cool dude, and the team behind the really fun but not like groundbreaking Joe Danger title, which is basically Excite Bike for this generation.
Yeah.
They announced No Man's Sky, and out of nowhere, it's this procedurally generated, I don't even know what you would call it, but I mean, it really took VGX by storm, because people were excited about them challenging the concepts of what it means to be next gen, and actually having this universe where it is about discovery. It's about kind of this scared sense of discovery where you don't know what's around every corner. What did you guys think of the announcement, how they handled it, and what are your thoughts on the game itself?
I think the game itself looks really, really fascinating. As Tony and I were talking about during the vid that we did, like a reaction video that you can check out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/VikingBrentAdams. As I said there, I am so interested in this game, because I love the idea of procedurally generated games, and procedurally generated games becoming more and more robust, more and more complex and immersive as we are able to create more and more detailed game systems that can be just called on the fly. That the game can dynamically put new content in front of the player. I'm very, very fascinated by that idea. And so for me, this game is a really, really great representation of seeing those kinds of games. I think it looks really interesting. I'm really, really down with just the themes of the game as far as space exploration and all of the kind of adventure that can happen as a result of that. I think that my mind was really blown by the explanation that if you're standing on a planet, you can look up into the sky and you can see stars, and every single one of those stars is an actual is an actual sun somewhere in the galaxy, and it's got planets orbiting it, and you can explore those planets. Like, that is mind blowing.
There's my brain.
That is mind blowing. So I'm very interested in.
What did you think, TG?
The same way. That I was actually going to mention the stars, kind of, part of that. Like that was the thing that, like he said, when you look up there and you see those aren't just, that's not just a bitmap. That's not just a graphic up there. Those are actually things out there that you can visit. I will say something I kind of mentioned to Brent. I am just a hair concerned. I mean, the scope of this game does seem pretty huge. Not just because, like, the thing that is great about procedurally generated is they basically just they construct, like, the rule set by which the world is created. So in that sense, it's not like they have to make a billion different worlds for you to be able to go to. It just kind of gets created, on the fly, according to the set of rules. But he did say that would all be persistent. So, like, when I go to my world and that's created, and if you came to that world, you would see what I see. That to me seems like that would take a whole hell of a lot of back end to keep track of the hundreds of thousands of millions of people that are playing the game. So I will be interested to see when this game gets closer to release date, what the end game actually ends up looking like, how close to what we've seen so far. It was amazing, though. I mean, like, it was by far the one thing that you've seen the most talk about, since the VGX, and kind of it was easily the biggest thing to come kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah. Which I know for him personally and that small team, that's what game development's all about. That's what indie gaming is all about. Say what you want about, about all this stuff.
Eye contact is not what that team is all about. Right?
That's true. He struggled with that.
If he were Superman, you would have the floor at that place would have just been cut through.
They initially toyed around with calling it No Man's Eye, but then they changed it.
All right, so last but not least, we talked about all the great announcements there, but I think one of the biggest things that everybody sort of wanted to hear, kind of our take on as a collective group, was just how the VGX as a show kind of came off. DK, do you want to maybe start us off a little bit? How did you feel about how did you feel the VGXs kind of came together this year, being the first year of them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, everyone knows my affiliation with Spike and GameTrailers and the VGAs in the past, hosting the pre-shows and all this stuff. So for me, it was, I really believe that this was a step in a good direction in terms of the format, because in the years past, everyone's kind of said, hey, it's on TV, you get an hour of airtime, it's jam-packed filled with celebrities because people think that, if it's on TV, it needs to have celebrities or whatever. So when I first heard of this, it sounded great. 3 hours, digital only. It's on like every device. It was literally the most largely distributed video game award show in the history of technology, which was great. And it was really accessible, and you could find it anywhere, and it was worldwide and global. And I feel the format of, packing in exclusives, packing in interviews and all that stuff is great. That being said, as I was very vocal about on Twitter, I would have loved to have been there and really helped it be a better show in terms of just having the content that gamers actually want. The audience wants more interviews with developers that are meaningful, less jokes. And you could understand, for me, kind of from my perspective, my desire is to help deliver the best gaming product, gaming media product that there is. And for me, it kind of sucked, to be honest with you, because I know what the potential is there. So I'm hoping that that the feedback is there, and that we could turn this into something that is actually, I had a lot of questions I would have asked Reggie or the guys from Gearbox, and just have a show that is a little bit more on par with what gamers want from a content perspective in terms of the actual meat and potatoes of it. But I think that the rundown, the workflow, everything that was there is a good way to go compared to where it was in the past.
I would agree. I was going to say, and I'll let Brent kind of talk a little bit about it, but I do think that, just some variety in the show. Like, I mean, literally, you'll never hear us say this ever again, but yes, you would have been a great addition to that show.
We said in our video, we said Daniel's good at doing interviews. Daniel really is a better choice for this format than Joel McHale. The thing that I would say is this, just real quickly. The show was so cringe-inducing at times. I mean, I felt uncomfortable watching it because it was so awkward, and there were just so many of these pregnant silences and pauses there was no chemistry whatsoever between Jeff Keighley and Joel McHale. Individually, fine. Like I like Joel McHale on The Soup. I liked him on Community. Funny guy, whatever. Keighley's great doing his thing on GameTrailers and on GTTV, whatever. But the two of them together, totally bad combination. And the other thing that I was going to say is that I feel like there's 2 points that really could make things better. Number one, I think that giving awards to developers, for these games in a vacuum, I don't think that's so great. I don't think that you need the giant glitz and everything that the VGAs had, but I do think that you need to be at least getting those awards in the presence of your peers for it to really have gravitas. And I mean, the fact is that you're giving awards to people, and the production staff hasn't even been briefed on let's applaud these people when they come out and let's applaud them when they win. Yeah. And so it's just sort of like it's like being invited into somebody's basement and being given you're the greatest game ever award. It just that to me, I really felt like they fell short on that. And then the other thing, real fast, is that the whole point in my mind of taking this thing off of television and putting it online is to make it a more gamer-centric show, so that we don't have to have the sort of let's Hollywood this up so that it's gonna play on Spike TV during this evening time slot. The whole point of putting it online is so that it can be really specific to its audience, and that is a good idea in and of itself. But the problem is that they still ended up Hollywooding it up and trying to bring in all of this stuff that gamers don't care about into a show that ostensibly is supposed to be more focused on gamers. And so while I think that maybe the mission statement was correct, the execution still ended up having some of the same old problems.
Just the one thing I had to say about the actual production of it is, personally, I think it needs to go one of 2 ways from where it was. That is, it either needs to be live and in front of an audience. Maybe, like I said, not maybe the size of the VGAs, but in front of an audience of fans, of people that are going to cheer, not just the production studio. Or it needs to be pre-produced. I'll be brutally honest with you, the show that we saw that day, I think could have been infinitely better if it had been pre-produced. If it just all those clips had been shot, given people to do better reactions and whatnot to the questions and things like that. Either way, either it needs to be pre-produced and then just shown live at one time, or it needs to be live and in front of a real audience. That, again, I mean, when a company is told that they just won Game of the Year for their product, and no one claps, and no one is there to give any kind of feedback, it's the most. Frankly, it's almost worse than not having give them the award. You know what I mean?
It was weird.
Agreed on all fronts, and I think that the most important thing that gamers listening to this show could do is tell everybody that you want me to be on it next year.
All right, guys. Well, we are coming up near the end of this week's Skirmish, but first, we have our Battle Cries of the week, and I'm going to start off with my Battle Cry, which is actually going out to the Sega 3D Classics that are, at least I think 1 or 2 of them are currently available on the 3DS. If you haven't checked these out, the reason that I think these are so cool is, I'm going to be honest, I'm not, for instance, one of the games is Space Harrier. I am not necessarily the biggest Space Harrier fan.
I thought Space Harrier
I think it's a cool game. It's an old school arcade game, but even as old school arcades games go, not necessarily my favorite.
Okay.
But the thing I love about this is M2, the studio that put this out, put so much love and attention into this remaking of the game. This isn't just an emulated version of the arcade game, just a port straight over to the system. When you tilt, you can choose to be how you played it, in a standalone console. You can be you were in one of the motion controlled consoles. Whenever you change these things, it changes the way the game looks on screen. You literally tilt, the screen tilts left and right, not you hold it and tilt it, but it moves slightly left or right as if you were sitting in the tilting full body experience cabinet.
Right.
The audio changes depending on how you're sitting in it.
That's cool.
The placement on the there were different versions. There were different versions of the arcade game in terms of where your character sat on the plane of how it played. So literally different ROMs, different versions of the arcade game were actually different. And when you make those changes in the game, that's how they are in the game in the the new remake version of them. It really is amazing. If only for just the fact that I love that arcade or emulated versions of these games that are coming out are more. They're going after how it actually felt to play the game back then, not just playing
Just
the game back then,
game, right.
but actually putting you in the world and how it felt and what was, other aspects than just the core game itself. So very, very cool. Definitely, if you got a 3DS, definitely head on over to the eShop and check those out. DK, what is your battle cry this week?
My battle cry goes out to Microsoft. I'm going to give you some free PR advice. Here you go.
Again?
Halo Spartan Assault is coming out. The announcement happened this week that the once Windows 8 or Windows Phone game that had released earlier this year is now hitting Xbox 360 and Xbox One right in time for Christmas. It's going to be coming out December 24th on the consoles, and it's releasing for $15. Why is it $15? Make the damn game free for just a couple of days as a Christmas gift to people who just bought an Xbox One or have supported the Xbox 360. This is not a life-changing thing. Stop throwing around Halo like it's going to sell the system. This is an opportunity for you to have a nice bonus during the Christmas holiday, and then January 1st, put it back on sale. But this game should be free. There's still time to change it. Make it free December 24th through the new year, and give everybody a little gift of Halo. Let them experience this game with an added cooperative mode, new weapons, Operation Hydra expansion, whatever it is. But this is something that fans should get for free when they pick up an Xbox One, specifically in lieu of the fact that there's no actual next-gen Halo game for us to look forward to as of yet.
Oh, I thought you were going to say audience for the game.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, we know there's a new Halo coming. We just don't know anything about it. But this would be a fun way to do it. That's my battle cry. Microsoft, if you still have time to fix it, then do it. Done.
All right. Brent, what is your battle cry this week?
My battle cry this week goes out to the unfortunate news that Renegade Kid has announced that Treasure Knots has been pushed back to 2014.
Uh-oh.
Which is not cool because this game looked awesome and I really wanted to play it. It was supposed to be out this month, and ultimately it's just polish time. Jules Washman, says that the game means a lot to us. They want to do it right. We need more time to make the game what they want it to be. Sorry for the delay, but anyway. So yeah, basically we know that it's going to be out sometime next year now, along with a couple of other games that have been talked about. There's Cult County, the survival horror game. There's also they're planning a sequel to Mutant Mudds, and then there's still like I think maybe 2 other games that they're going to announce maybe sometime next year, something that are in the works. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on over at Renegade Kid, but I am disappointed that we're not going to get Treasure Knots as quickly as we were originally told we were going to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was actually looking forward to that one quite a lot too.
Yep.
All right, well, DK, I believe you have our member battle cry this week.
I do, TGE3D. It's in reference to our conversation on the last skirmish of Epic Battle Cry regarding the Xbox One, and it comes from Tracy Gates, to my knowledge, no relation to Bill or Melinda, and is such a gamer that he named his kid Shadow. Here it goes. People will get that if they like NES RPGs. Here's the battle cry. And this is why I love the podcast. Different points of views to help us gamers decide on what to buy. It got intense there for a while during the Xbox discussion, and everyone respected the other's opinion without getting into a fight. If only more reviewers would at least try to review hardware or software with experience using the product instead of using the hype train. Loved it. Keep it up. P.S. Carmack is coming to kill you. No, he said coming for you. But you said he was a serial killer.
So if you're right, he is coming to kill you.
Tracy obviously is, it could be a boy or a girl, I don't know. So Tracy, thank you for the battle cry. Whichever gender you are wonderful gamer gender. I'm just going to stop. But anyway. What do you guys think? Because the comment section last week was basically filled with 2 things. A, where the hell is the download link for the audio? And B...
Yeah, that was my bad. Sorry about that.
And B, why is everybody ganging up on DK about the Xbox? And I thought this comment was good though, because it showed. I thought you guys were, bringing your points of view, and that's what we all have our opinion about the Xbox.
That's the one thing I really do think. Like, legitimately, even when we give you, we joke and we give you a hard time about, being a fan of one system or the other. I honestly think that we come with our sort of unfiltered feedback from these things.
Yeah.
Sometimes, honestly, I will say, like, sometimes maybe a professional, reviewer, that's doing it for the main one for a site, sometimes has a chance to sort of write it out, think about it, maybe change something, change it, by the time they get to the end, they can change it back to, something
That's right. They get a chance to water it down and to be
honestly,
influenced
to a
by
certain degree,
big corporate money and
I do think that we come out and I'll be honest with you, I was very frustrated with a lot of the issues. I have there's been a few things that have gotten better over time since I've been using the system.
Yeah.
I will throw out there, just as we've been recording, there is a system update that is happening tonight for the Xbox One that's supposed to address a multitude of issues. So we'll have to see. I don't think some of the bigger ones like battery and storage and whatnot, but it, potentially could, some of the sluggishness of the OS and things like that. So I think it's a fair comment. Frankly, I think the people that that felt like we were too hard on it, I have no problem with that. We may have been at times, a little hard on it, but I think it's like we jokingly talked about Daniel scaring the shit out of his kids with the Santa costume earlier.
I wasn't joking.
Sometimes you gotta be fucking hard on somebody so that they realize what needs to be fixed or what potential they're missing out on. So
that's right.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
That's good parenting advice.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for this week's Skirmish. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this week, including our special guest, Joel McHale. And please join us once again next week when we'll be cleaving the fat from the gaming stories of the day. For Daniel and for Brent, I'm your host, Tony Grice. And remember, cry havoc and bring it on, Carmack. Seriously, bring it on. Dude, I have a feeling if you come after me to kill me, you'll be doing it in a virtual world anyway. So, you can kill my avatar if you want.
That's right. It's a little hard to aim for my spine when you're wearing those goddamn VR goggles.
Now, if the guy from No Man's Sky comes after me, that would I might shit my pants just a bit. He was a little...
He's cool, man. He was nervous. Come on.
I'm sure some
That's
people
right.
thought
He's on a live television show that nobody can tell is live.